Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. Today is Saturday, and on Saturday, I've been doing my top 100 comics in my collection. So this is going to be the big books because we're down to the top 20 books in my collection. And I'm going to show you the ones from the number 20 spot to the number 11 spot. And the books just in this one section are over $60,000 worth of books. So it is a big big bad boy books. I don't know what you call them. The big boy books. So yes. Okay. So the very first one is a really great one. It's like a lot of the books that are in this section are pretty rare and you just don't see very often. But this is not a rare book. It is just a very highly sought after book. And it is Fantastic Four number 5. And, you know, this is the first appearance of Doctor Doom. It's a 1966 Marvel book. And it's just a really great one. It's like, Doctor Doom has really become really popular amongst collectors, because he is kind of considered to be maybe Marvel's greatest villain. And he's just this is like a classic cover too, because you got Doctor Doom right on the cover. You can see him right there. And he is defeating the Fantastic Four. He's got them all like, dying. They're all like, oh, we're suffocating. We're all going to die. And the one thing that most people don't realize about this book that I think is kind of cool is that it's a bondage cover. So you got Sue Storm right in here, and she's in bondage. You can see that. So I was going on about bondage covers in the Golden Age. Well, this is a Silver Age bondage cover, so it's kind of funny. But that's not the reason people buy this book or seek this book. It is because it is a rare Golden Age book, a Silver Age book. It is not a rare one, I should say. It's a highly sought after Silver Age book. This is one that I considered one of my grails. I really like Doctor Doom. I think he's a cool character, and I really wanted this one in my collection for a while. I was pretty excited to get it. So this one, just to give you a sense of how scarce or not scarce it is, there are 2,220 on the census and 1,590 universal grades. This one's a kind of interesting one. It's a low grade, and it's called Slate B1, which is the restoration that was on it. It basically, B1 is like considered very slight restoration, but at a moderate professional level. So it's like moderate to amateur levels, sort of in between, between professional and amateur restoration. And the restoration that was done on this book is actually one of those weird ones. What happened was they reglossed the cover. And I don't know why they reglossed the cover, because it didn't really enhance the book. It just made it kind of look worse. But that's the restoration. And I'm not sure if you could actually remove that glossing, but it is what the restoration is. And in this grade, that kind of restoration doesn't really impact the value of the book. It kind of usually can actually sell for it just as much as the unrestored book, Blue Label. But what I did when I calculated the value of this book, I calculated it at 60 to 80%. That's generally what you'll get for a restored book in these low grades. And for that, actually it was interesting. When I first made my spreadsheet, which was a few months ago, the value was around 4,200 for this book in this grade. I looked at the census recently, and I've seen sales where it's much higher. They're saying more like 7,700 for a Blue Label. So I was quite surprised by how much this book has gone up, even since the comic boom. So the comic boom happened last year, and we're still seeing very strong sales for this book. So it's kind of interesting. So it's lower on my list, but it could have been easily higher. But I'm using the values based on what I calculated from several months ago. So yeah, so it's $4,200 in terms of the way I priced it. So the next one is a really great book. It's just a rare book, and it is one that I always love the cover. I bought it because I always wanted this book in my collection for the cover. It's Wonder Woman for President, which is Wonder Woman number 7. And it's in a reasonable grade. It's like a 4 or 5. And it's from 1943. It's just a really great cover. So this is like, they have this technology on Paradise Island where they can look into the future. And they basically look into Wonder Woman's future and they see her become president. And it tells the whole story about how she becomes president of the United States. So it's kind of cool. This book, there's only 80 in all grades and all levels for this book. There's just so under 100 of these. And only 72 of them are Blue Label. This book goes for about $4,500. So a good way to calculate, if you ever get this book, you can calculate the value based on the grade. So what you do is you take that grade and multiply it by 100. And that's the easy way to figure out what the price is for this book. And generally follows that rule that you take whatever the grade is, multiply it by 100, and that's the value. So this would be a 4.5, so it's around $4,500 for this book. And it's just a really great one. You just don't see it that often, and it is one of the best Wonder Woman covers, in my opinion. I really like it. I like this whole presidential campaign thing. I like the idea that, Wonder Woman for president. I just think it's cool. Okay, so that's number 19 on my list. The next one is another great Silver Age book. This is Tales to Astonish number 27. And this is the first appearance of the Ant-Man. Now, he's not in costume, and there's some debate about it, but it is the first appearance of the Ant-Man. And this is a book that is still actually quite rare for Silver Age. So Silver Age books are generally in the several thousands. Like I was saying that Fantastic Four number 5 had about 2,000 on the census. Well, this book has only 1,185 copies of anything on the census. And there's 894 universal Blue Labels. So it's fairly rare, even for the Silver Age. Silver Age is a bit more common than what you'd find from the Golden Age. So it's quite rare, and you just don't see it that often available for sale. So this one is 3.5. Its restoration is top and bottom edge trimmed, which is the worst type of restoration you can get. When they trim the book, there's no going back from it. So it really does impact the price. So this book could be a much bigger book in terms of its value, but based on the restoration, again, it really does lower the value. Fortunately, because it is a lower grade, the amount of decrease in value is limited. You'd probably get about 60 to 80% of the value. And this book in this restored grade goes for about $4,600. So just slightly more than that Wonder Woman number 7. And again, there are only 894 of these in the universal grade. So pretty rare book. And just one that I always liked. It's a Stan Lee story. It's just a really great first appearance. And I like the fact that he's on the cover and you get to see all the ants and stuff. I really like that one. The next book is one that actually I got, and I actually just did a video about this recently. I got this in an auction. I was super excited to win this book because it is a big Wonder Woman key. This is Sensation Comics number 6. And this is the first appearance of both Wonder Woman's lasso, and Kanga, her kangaroo, the one that she's riding, and first cover appearance as well. So triple key, and it's a bondage cover. Not girl bondage, but bondage cover. So it's just got so many things going on with it. And my copy is a signed copy. I don't know who this person is, but they signed it. So some random kid signed the book. I think it's Ruth. Ruth signed this book. This is from the Ruth collection. So yeah, just a really great book. And this one is really quite rare. There's only 40 any graded copies, like, blue, purple, green labels. So there's just 40 of them on the census, and there's 34 universal graded comics. I think that this, I sort of graded this at like a 3.5, maybe, yeah, somewhere around there, 3.5, 4, solid 4, maybe even higher if it was cleaned. It does have a pretty big dust shadow, but it's actually a pretty solid book. It's in really good shape. So in this kind of grade, it goes for about $5,000. So, and actually, I think I graded, when I priced it out in my head, I actually priced it as a lower grade. So, so just so you know, it is quite a valuable book because it is so rare, and it is kind of a major key because everyone, when we think of Wonder Woman, we think of that magic lasso. So, the lasso of truth. So yeah, just a really great book. And her kangaroo, just so you know, if you're into kangaroos, like, it is not actually a kangaroo. It is like, it's actually, her kangaroo is called a kanga in the story, and it's this alien kangaroo species. And the actual name of the kangaroo is Jumpa. So, a bit of trivia about Wonder Woman's super pet. And the actual kangaroo appeared in other issues later as well. So it had a bit of a story to it. Okay, so the next one is another book that is just highly sought after, and it is a fairly common book. It's the most common on this list, but it's just so highly sought after that it commands a really high value. I paid $1,920 for it, and it is one of the worst books in my collection in terms of grade. It is just really rough. It is X-Men #1, and it is like, it's actually complete. It's just that the spine is pretty rough, and you got a lot of staining on it, and somebody wrote 5 cents all over it. It's not worth 5 cents. It is worth a lot more, but and actually, I think they increased it. There's a 7 cents up there. I wish they didn't write it in that horrible pen, but that's what really impacted the grade. I actually think if I resent this and kind of pressed it out or did some slight cleaning to it, it could probably get a 1.0. But I don't know. So, yeah. I don't know. It's the only issues they say with it are cover and 2 centerfolds detached, which really doesn't impact the grade beyond a 2, like a 2.0. Then it's like usually pieces missing, but this one doesn't have any pieces missing. It's just got some really nasty staining, so you can see right in there. So I actually think that it could grade higher. And if it graded higher, it'd be worth a lot more. But in this grade, it goes for about $5,200. And yeah, it's another Stan Lee story, Jack Kirby cover and art. And from 1963, X-Men #1. It kind of was the book that really solidified Marvel as the dominant player in the Silver Age. X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, those were the big 3. So definitely a very big book to have. And I'm a big X-Men fan. I love the mutants. So, that book has all of the major first appearances, like Jean Grey, Professor X, Cyclops and Iceman and the Beast. It's like all the big characters. And it has Magneto, one of the big villains. So pretty great book. The next book on my list is another one that is a bit more common. Oh, sorry. By the way, the census on that, there's 5,600 books on the census for X-Men #1, and only 4,000 of them are universal graded. The next book on my list is Strange Tales #110. Now, Strange Tales number 110, this book goes for about $6,000. And I've actually, since recording this video, not recording it, but like that's when I originally checked. Okay. So when I checked the value of this book, I checked prior to the whole Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So this book has really come off those peaks that it experienced back then. It's probably, I would say, worth around 3,000, maybe 3 to 4,000. But when I valued it back then, it was probably around 6,000. So it's really dropped in value, and that's what can happen. Like the movie doesn't do as well as expected, and the value can really drop, even in these big blue chip books. Another thing that's not really going for this book is it doesn't have Doctor Strange on the cover, which is kind of frustrating with this book. But it is Doctor Strange's first appearance, and a lot of people do chase this book, and so it does command some money. As I said, I valued it originally at 6,000, but it's dropped to probably around 35, maybe 4 on a good day. So there are 2,133 books on the census for this one, and of those, 1,800 are universal graded. So pretty rare book for the Silver Age. A more common amount would be like around 5,000 is kind of more what's in line with normal number of books on the census. So that when you get in under that 2,000 mark, that means it's a fairly rare book for the Silver Age. Okay, the next one is just a big Batman book. It's got a classic Joker cover. This is Batman number 49, and it's in a high grade. So 6.5, that's a fairly high grade for the Golden Age. This is not only a classic Joker cover, but it has 2 big key appearances. It has the first appearance of Vicky Vale, and has the first appearance of the Mad Hatter. Now, they redid the Mad Hatter later in the Silver Age, but this is the first Mad Hatter from the Golden Age. So just a great book. This is from 1948, and it's a Bill Finger story, Bob Kane cover. So just some really great people involved with this one. And this one only, there's only 242 on the census, and 219 are unrestored, blue label. And it goes for about 6,500. So again, this is one of those ones where you can probably price it out where you just take the grade, multiply it by 100, and it actually works out pretty correctly. I was checking, and I thought that was really funny that there was 2 books on this list that kind of follow that pattern where the value is really just $100 per grade point, if that makes sense. So yeah, so kind of interesting book. But a classic Joker cover. Like, people will actually chase that book not for the first appearances, but because it is a great Joker cover. So yeah, so that's kind of an interesting one. This one is a one that you just don't see often. This is a rare book. The one I'm about to show has 36 universal, 36 total on the census and 29 universal copies. It is one that collectors will chase after, and it can command whatever price. Is one of those ones where it is definitely a seller's market. So this is Miss Fury number 1, classic Alex Schomburg cover from 1942. It's Trip Mills, story and art, interior, and is the first appearance and origin of Miss Fury. So just one of these kind of great female superheroes that actually predates Wonder Woman. So she actually came out in newspaper print before she was in comics, and she is prior to Wonder Woman. So kind of a key female superhero. So this book goes for about $7,000 in this grade. So pretty big book. Yeah, and that's why it's number 13 on my list of, or 14. Yeah, 14 on my list of most expensive comics. Is it 13 or 14? Something like that. I got to calculate it. Wait. 12, 11, 12, 13. Number 13 on my list. So I had to think about it. Yeah, I'm sort of counting backwards here. Okay. So the next one is just a really great book. And actually, this is one where I won it at a really good price. I was super excited to win this. I actually expected it to go much higher than it did. But it is a book that I got it as a steal. I paid $3,800 for this book. And this is Albedo #2, which is the first appearance of Usagi Jimbo. Now, this is a fairly modern book. It's a Bronze Age book. It's from 1984. And it and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1, and what else? I would say those two books are kind of like the two that they have these anthropomorphic wow, say that 10 times fast, characters that are just like, kind of the ones that people recognize. It kind of was one of the books that helped usher in the copper age of comics. So just a pretty major book. Usagi Jimbo is kind of a major character, and it's just such a rare book. Believe it or not, this is like rarer than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1. But it doesn't quite command the value that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 would be. So in a book like this grade, if it was TMNT 1, it would go for probably 20, 30,000. Like pretty pricey book. But this character is not as popular, but still popular. And there's, as I said, it's a rarer, much rarer book. There's only 282 of these on the census, and only 229 of them are universal graded. So just really rare book for the Copper Age. Usually in the Copper Age, you're seeing numbers in the tens of thousands. So to see numbers in the hundreds for a major first appearance, it's a rare book. This one is, as I said, the first appearance of Usagi Jimbo, and letter from Pierre Laird and David Thompson. And Stan Sakai cover and art. Just a really great one. I like the fact that it also has him on the cover first appearance. And it's one of those kind of nice art on the back as well. So this is from 1984, and it goes for a whopping $7,500. Really pricey book. So that's why it's high on the list. And the last book, this one is really interesting. I'm just going to memorize the numbers. So this one has gone through the roof. And it was one that I kept on chasing but missing out on. And I actually had a whole bunch of issues where I actually bought a copy, paid all the money for it in installments, and then afterwards the seller refused to send it to me. So, and then later, Alex the Comic Hoarder picked up that same book. So I was like a little bit frustrated with that. But Alex the Comic Hoarder had nothing to do with it. He's a good guy. So I ended up buying this book, and it's More Fun Comics #55 through eBay. And what happened was this book was really, really hot. And it was hot because of the Black Adam movie, because this has the first appearance of Dr. Fate. And people were talking, oh, is Dr. Fate going to be in it? And it was becoming super, super hot. So within a very short time period, the book went through the roof. It just had this sort of crazy rise. So originally I had gotten a 6.0 copy, and we had agreed on a price of $10,000 for the 6.0 restored. So that really greatly, reduces the value of the book. And $10,000 was a fair price. But then soon after, like a month later, there was like a movie announcement. Dr. Fate was kind of hinted in the movie, and the book went from being like a $10,000 book maybe to a $20,000 book. So after I had already paid all the installments, the seller was like, "Well, no, now this book is much more valuable. I can't sell it for he wouldn't honor the price." So I ended up not getting it from him. He returned the money, but I actually lost out because there's the Canadian exchange rate. I lost out about $1,000 on the deal. It was just really brutal. I was really upset about it. However, a few months later, the book came up for auction on Heritage, and it went for $9,000. And so I went to eBay because it went beyond what I was willing to pay. I didn't really want to pay $9,000 for a 1.0. And the one that they had on Heritage looked even worse than this one. so I was like, okay, I got to get it, but how am I going to get it? And so I went to eBay. Somebody actually had it for the same price on eBay, but they also had best offer. So I was like, oh, maybe I can get it a little bit cheaper than what they were selling for on Heritage. And I did manage to talk them down to $6,000. So I got a pretty good deal on this. It goes for about $8,500 now. So pretty big book, really rare book. There's only 48 copies on the census in any grade, and there's only 29 of them that are blue labels. So this is the first appearance of Dr. Fate. Too bad he's not on the cover. We got Spectre on the cover, but it is a Bernard Bailey cover, and just a really great cover. I like the fact that I like the spirit as well. So just a really great cover. Okay, so I'll actually read all the notes for it. First appearance of Dr. Fate, first appearance of Wutan, and Inza. Fourth appearance of the Spectre. Sorry, what am I saying? What was I saying, Doctor? Okay, Spectre. Spectre cover. Some of the Spectre covers are quite sought after. Like I think number 54 is considered to be More Fun Comics number 54 is considered to be the best Spectre cover. But this is definitely a great book to have. This is actually, I believe, the Spectre made his first appearance in More Fun 52. So this is, as they were saying, fourth appearance of the Spectre. So kind of a cool early Spectre as well. So lots of stuff going on with this book. It's in a 1.0, low grade, but even in a low grade, it is a very pricey book. Just one that there's not that many high grades on it. It's just one of those books. A lot of the More Fun ones are just really, really rare, and it's really hard to find the More Fun comics in high grade. It's amazing how challenging it is to get that book. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was the top 20, but the first half. The next video will be my top 10. These are the most expensive books in my collection that I'll be showing you next week. And then we'll be doing a new series after that. So you'll get to see that as well. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and see you in the next video.